Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where on this day in 1973, Lynyrd Skynyrd released their first ever album, and it was pronounced Lynyrd Skynyrd. Just for those having trouble with the phonetics. But we all know the story of how it was named after the gym teacher who didn't like their long hair and was a bit of a tough guy and all the rest of it. But what this album really did is it thrust Southern rock into the mainstream. Now, of course, the Allman Brothers had already kind of done that, but the Allman Brothers and Lynyrd Skynyrd, even though they're both considered sort of titans of Southern rock, they were very different kind of bands. The Allman Brothers were much more jazzy. They had the ability to improvise for ages. They were almost like a Southern Grateful Dead, where Lynyrd Skynyrd was sort of a Southern Led Zeppelin, if that analogy makes sense. Their songs were extremely catchy, they were powerful, and they were unabashedly proud of their roots from Panhandle, Florida, from Jacksonville, and next to Alabama, and we all know that song came next. But on this first album, of course, it was Freebird that really set the world alight because there's no denying that it is one of the best songs of all time. And if you want to talk about what is the sound of rock, not 50s rock and roll, not heavy metal, just rock, it might well be Freebird because it has it all. It's got the slow sweeping introduction on the piano and organ, the main section of the song with an emotive yet masculine lyric, and just a great laid back backbeat, wonderfully arranged because they were obviously a big band, so they had a very thick, fat sound. And then, of course, as there's an accelerando, the tempo, that means that the tempo gets faster and faster, and you get into one of the best dueling guitar solos of all time. And it was this album that set them on the course for a very popular career. They went from strength to strength, hit to hit in terms of both singles and albums, playing the stadium circuit that developed into a huge industry in the 1970s. And I'm sure that they would have gone on to do amazing things into the 80s and 90s, which to a degree they did among the surviving members. But of course, the plane crash in 77, which took Ronnie Van Zant and other key members and other original members, it was a tragic, iconic moment. If the day the music died at the end of the 50s was when Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper died, this was sort of the moment for 70s rock when the music died. And the story's been told many times, and it almost increased the legendary status of a song that was already legendary because the song is all about moving on, going forward, thinking about the ethereal and the mystical, and not letting the troubles of the world get you down. I'm as free as a bird now. The irony is it's almost too much. And it was a song that was a very romantic song, but from a masculine perspective, not from a feminine or from a boy meets girl perspective. Again, making it that quintessential ballad, but one that becomes a thrashing rock and roll song with dueling guitar solos. And so I think this album was really, really important for the genre in general because it was in an era when rock was going in so many different directions, all of them great, some going into a bit of the jazzier side, a bit of the classical influence stuff, the folk rock. This was a band that said, look, we're going to be unabashedly Southern and return rock to what you could call its roots, only we're going to do it louder, harder, faster, and with our own swagger. Because if Lynyrd Skynyrd had anything, they had swagger by the boatload. So why not put this album on? You know you love it, and you'll all be singing along to Freebird, which again has been immortalized in pop culture. Remember the old guy on Beavis and Butthead? Play Skynyrd, man. It's part of the culture. It always will be. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.